Alrighty, so we're back with game development. We're back with the continuation of this project. We've started setting up our basics layouts for the levels. And when you look at the blank canvas, I'm finding that it's very easy to start coming up with very wild ideas that are quite different from what initially inspired the project. So what I'm thinking is I have all these elements spread out throughout all these levels, and the levels themselves they're pretty big for the scale that I've chosen. You know, with that being the pod, then all of this is actually pretty humongous. Now the problem is that there's not a whole lot to do in all of this vast open space. Not a whole lot of reason to traverse all this space. Now, of course, the levels here, they're more or less linear, but generally speaking, if we were to design large linear levels can get kind of monotone when there's not a whole lot to do. Right? So yeah, you can brag about, you know, having this vast, huge space and having large levels, but there's no content. Right? There's no content in them. Between this guy and this guy here, this challenge and this challenge, where you fight the gravity to get to the next level, not a whole lot happening. So what I'm thinking is, in this case, we can make these atmospheric levels and try to emphasize the sense of atmosphere as opposed to the sense of challenge of combat. Now once we get around to, for example, this area, we can introduce our enemies, and then pretty much music and audio would take over in this place, and provide some sort of a world building experience. Now we also need to put a bunch of debris, a bunch of, you know, dormant or destroyed vessels, all the good stuff. And that's how we're gonna establish, well, that's how we're gonna put the content in all these areas. Another thing that I'm observing is I feel like maybe at some point it would be a lot easier to come up with the content once we're physically in the level. So we have our basic idea of how the levels should be structured, but the nitty gritty details, I feel like can come in the level editor once we have all of these things sorted out. One, two, three, four, 5. And there's level 1. So we kind of touched on putting some boulders here, putting some physics stuff over there, but for the most part it's kind of empty, kind of barren. There's not a whole lot to be done. But what I figured when I was thinking about this last night is I was imagining my friends and and I flying through these tunnels, right, through this digestive system of this planet. And at some point, you know, a random cluster, not a random, but a cluster of rocks, physics rocks, would fall off here. And it would be like a scripted event, right? So we can, and that came to me once I imagined us playing the game. So it's a tiny thing, it's a tiny scripted event, but it came to me when I was in that state, in that imagining us in this world. So this is the point where you have to come up with content. Like the general idea that I started this entire thing with was the physics-based environment, and it's in the darkness, and you have to use your lights to traverse the land, and you shoot beams of light, or you shoot particles of light in order to battle some enemies. That's the bare bone idea of it. Other than that, all the nitty-gritty detail are pretty much coming as the game is being put together. A lot of the ideas I've written down, but then again, a lot of these ideas I did come up with when I was already working on the concept art and pushing out various ideas for this game. So that's just the way it is, you know. As you go, you're adding stuff and subtracting stuff, and you know, you build upon it. You build upon it as you work on it. With the Starsky project, it's a little bit different. A lot of my ideas basically came from the script writing. But in this game, there isn't a script per se. There isn't really that story. So it's based not around the story. It's based around just a tiny concept, the physics with collisions and fighting gravity. Right, so I guess it's more atmospheric is what I'm trying to formulate this idea as. It's basically just this. Just flying through, shining a flashlight, seeing how everything is, and fighting the enemies that need to be fought. Whoops. Okay. So, what I want to do right now is, since I don't have that clear of an idea of what else to populate these levels with, what I'm thinking is I can recreate, let's say, the very first level. I'll recreate the very first level and we'll populate it with the basic stuff. We'll see how it works, and we'll see if any ideas come to mind. This first level has to be made either way, so the level itself will be created for the sake of having it be created, and at least then we'll see if we can test out this hypothesis of being able to come up with the ideas for the game while being in the environment. Now, we have our rooms, so let's go ahead and create a room. Room level 1. Now, there's one thing that I also wanted to make, and it's a quick little thing. We're gonna go ahead and go over here, create a level asset. We'll call it SBR black tile. And we're gonna go over here, we're gonna say tile set black tile. And this is a little idea that I got for to solve the problem of how to make how to color in the blackness in between the grass stuff. So we're going to use a tile set for that. We're going to use a tile set that's actually pretty small. So we have a tile set that's 16 by 16. So that's fine. So all I need is to make is to get this tile set to be a 32 by 32 pixels. The top left pixel is going to be, well, actually, we're not making a brush. We're not making a brush here. That's where the top left pixel needs to be blank. So we can make just a 16 by 16 pixel and color it in black. And we can take a look and test that out right now. So we'll go to the first level. We'll make our background gray. We'll add a tile layer, and let's click on the tile set and drop the sprite into the tile set. So that tile set will basically use that sprite now as the basis. And now, if I go into the black tile set, we can pick, see? That's the problem. As soon as it becomes a tile set, the top left tile is going to have to be a blank one. So we're going to have to make this a 32 by 32, or at least 16, 32 by 16. So we're going to make this 32 by 16. So now if we go over here, there's our first tile and there's our blank tile. So the reason I wanted to do that, and the reason I wanted to go so small, is because, mainly because now we can kind of paint like this, and we can turn it down, and we can erase some stuff. Right, so there's our blackness. And what we can do now is we can add an asset layer, just like that, and we can go, or not an asset layer, it would actually have to be an instance layer. And now we can use our collidable terrain objects, level assets, force blocks, right? And as you can see, for scale, now we can kind of blend it together. Since it's all black, it sits quite nicely. And yeah, take a look at that. So the tiles are small enough to be filling in the black areas below. So we can now create our levels in a pretty nice dynamic manner. So we'll create 7,000 by 7,000 room size, and as you can see, it's not even close. So we're probably gonna go 17,000. Right, pretty big room. We're gonna go into the tile, up the brush size, and erase all of these. And we're gonna get rid of this instance. So if we take a look at the level, if we're modeling a level, there's one thing that we need to watch out for, and it's if we have a pre-existing level stuff, we should start with the bottom left corner, or top left corner I should say, and work our way down, because we can't, there's no way to shift all the game content right now. You can shift it one layer at a time. So if you need some more space to the left, say you placed your object here, and say you placed like 200 of these objects, and suddenly you're thinking, oh man, I need some space to the left. Well, you need to move all of those objects. You need to basically select all of those objects, move all of them like this. Then you need to go to the next layer type, which is the tile layer. You need to select everything there. You need to move over that. Then you have to go to the instances, and you have to move all of that, and the asset layer. And it's annoying. Things get out of sync very quickly. I've been nagging them to implement. Let me just test this thing out. I've been nagging them to implement the system for setting up a global shift, and it would probably synchronize to the scale of the tiles, so the tiles only can move by the same amount that the tile is scaled as, or the size as. But that would just infinitely improve everything. Unfortunately, for the time being, we don't have that functionality. So if we say, oh man, we need some extra room over there to fit in this thing, you can't do it. You have to shift everything first, shift it all, and only then you can put in your thing. And that becomes troublesome. So I'm kind of hoping that they would add that pretty quickly, or at some point soon. But until we get that functionality, we have to work with what we've got. So at least at this point, see, if we have to go up top, then we know that that right there is the largest point. It's the tallest point. So what we can do is we can kind of block it in with tiles alone. Right, and we can follow it later on. So we'll set the width to maybe 2500. Right, and what we have to do now is take this block tool and just block in the tiles everywhere like this. So that's just the black tile. All right. It's processing it right now. Once again, this is a slow computer. And I'm still only testing out the idea of using tiles. If it's having too much trouble using tiles as a method of filling in the area, then it might not be such a viable system. After all, tiles in themselves are supposed to be very performance efficient, but let's be honest, 25,000 by 17,000 tiles is quite a lot to process, as you can see. So try to place quite a lot of tiles here. So let's try that again, just to see if it'll work. Maybe it just takes a while to process it, or maybe it's just not designed to handle that many tiles at once. However, I do have quite a lot of tiles in the RTAG Rise project, so to me the concept of GameMaker not being able to handle that many tiles is kind of bizarre, if you ask me. In any case, let's see if we can have this thing launch. And let's put on some music, shall we? Yeah, let's list some Minecraft music. I think that would work out just fine. Yeah, let's try that again. You see, I get caught up in all of the technical jargon and trying to add functionality and content, and I forget the most important thing that inspired me to make this game, and that's building a certain feeling. This is how a lot of my games start. It's me capturing a certain feeling, or me imagining a certain feeling, like a sense of wonder in some sort of a large overgrown abandoned science lab that has rays of light shining through the ceiling, or you and your friends exploring some abandoned cave with, floating object that involve physics and, this atmospheric music playing. That kind of stuff that inspires my game ideas. And I start elaborating from there on, and after a while you start thinking, okay, well, now I need functionality, now I need game mechanics, and you get lost in that whole thing, and it's very easy to lose sight of what started it all. And that's the atmosphere. At least in my case, right? This can be different for everybody. In my case, it's the atmosphere, the music especially. Okay, so let's give it another attempt. So we'll make 25,000 by 17,000. It could also be the fact that I tried to place so many tiles all at once. That couldn't have been pleasant. Distorted Minecraft music. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and try to do that again. But this time, see our black tile, and the black tile is going to be reset again because it wasn't saved. Black tile. We just gotta quickly make it again. 32 by 16. Turn on the grid. Fill it in black. Okay. There we go. So let's see if we can place it in blocks like this. See, it's already starting to hiccup a little bit, so I think we'll need to have to increase our size a bit. So let's try 64 by 64. It'll be 128 by 64. Okay. So it's 64 by 64. Okay, let's go over here. Okay, that's still a pretty good level of detail. That's still a pretty good level of detail, considering everything, and I'm sure that it should be okay now. It would be great if you could go as granular as 16 pixels, but unfortunately that seems like it's gonna be a bit of a stretch if I ask it that much. Now, we can, however, Battle says, can I request some relaxing music? Sure. Is Minecraft music not relaxing enough, though? Or are you talking more in terms of like Factorio atmospheric, where it's dark atmospheric? Do I send a link for music? I don't know. It depends what kind of music it is. Because I usually listen to the music for my own sake. Sometimes I talk in the live streams, but sometimes I just work. SPR black plate. So instances, we're gonna, just for comparison, I want to take a look at how big the terrain object is. Okay, so this is actually, I think it's actually quite manageable. Yeah, we can still use the tiles in this case to kind of block in stuff. It's not going to be as flexible, but I think we can get away with this. If anything, we still have our black block that we can use to put some things in that way, or patch up the holes. In any case, this is all I listen to when coding. Okay. Let's place our tiles. And now, see, we have to start from over there. But technically, now that we're currently in tile set, moving stuff is a matter of just moving the entire block of tiles. So, you know, we can kind of visually take a look at it and see if we can fit it. See, just like that. Now, for comparison's sake, let's go ahead and put in put in our spawn points. Okay, so you can see size-wise, this actually seems pretty big. So I think we should be okay on that front. Battle, I think you might have just posted a link, but it didn't pop up on the in the chat. I think the link got blocked. Player. Oh yeah. So we need to make sure that we have our proper instance layers. Kind of important. There's a piece of code that says we need to create a player on the layer called player. Unable to find any instance of object camera. Okay, so that's another thing that we need to have in every single room, is that camera object. Okay, what else? Current room does not have physics. Yes. That is also something that we need to do. And also. Okay, room physics. We'll enable the physics. Okay. And one more thing. In the camera object, we're going to initiate the view, because we usually do this in the room editor, but unfortunately we would have to do that in every single room, so it would be easier to define it once in the code, and then every time the camera is created, it will create the view as well. So camera create, cam equals, and then we'll say view set camera. Can we view enabled, view set visible. Okay, so we need to set. Actually, let's take a look at this. There's got to be a sample code for enabling the camera view. View 0. Okay, so view set camera, we'll say view 0, camera, cam. And we'll say camera set view target. We'll say obj, or say camera cam, and ID of this camera object here. So now this camera is going to follow this object. View set visible, so 0 true, which means that this view will be visible, and this view will be attached to this camera. So the camera is the physical aspect. The view is the aspect that is being seen. Let's see if it's gonna work out. Because when I compiled the game, it showed the entire level, and that's not really nice. Okay, as you can see, it's right down there. So it seems like the camera is working. All I need to do now is view set viewport, or width of the port, and then height of the port, which is going to be the same one as we've defined in our little test level. So that would be right here. Viewport, not this one, not this level, the one that we pushed to the end. 28801350. So 28801350. That's the view width and view height, and we need to make sure that it tells which view we set it to. So that should pretty much set up the resolution of it. Okay, almost. There's another thing that we need to set. The camera properties. Actually, the view width is not the same. That's the camera properties that we've set just now. What we need to do, the view width, or I should say the port width, is this one here, 1920 by 900. So we'll say 1920 by 900, but the camera set view size. That, I believe, has to be the virtual space within the game. Okay, not quite. We gotta be missing something here. Camera create view. Well, that's interesting. Ah, the buff code will create a new camera and then assign it to viewport 0. I see. Well, that would make sense. So camera create might have been... Okay. So we'll say XY width 28801350 angle 0 object. The object that it's going to follow is going to be ID of the current object we're creating this with. Speed will be 1. Speed X border 900, or we'll say 12,000, because it needs to be dead on the camera, and it's the camera that we smoothly move about. So this is actually kind of interesting. I think the other properties may have been for the 3D camera, if we have 3D enabled. Although, don't quote me on that. View set visible. Okay, let's take a look. We might also have to assign the port to this. Create camera view. Let's see. Let's see. View camera 0. Oh yeah, it's gonna give me an error because this thing is referring to a variable that doesn't exist anymore. Okay. Need a piece of sample code. What was it? What am I doing here? Okay, so we'll say cam. That creates our camera. Then we should take view set camera. We'll set our camera to this view. We'll enable this view. We'll set the viewport. Set surface ID. That's pretty cool. You can have the camera push its data to a certain surface. You can create something like a mini map. It's kind of cool. Not very useful though at the moment. Huh. That's what we need. View enabled. That's the one thing we were missing. Enable the views for the global room. Now watch me be all pompous about it. Hey, nice. Fantastic. So that's working. All I need to do is, let's see, room X, room Y, that's the position. Wait, no. Room X, room Y, yes. Width and height. Then we got the angle, object ID to follow, X speed, Y speed, X border, Y border. So technically this thing should be dead in the center. This camera. Unless it's the X speed, Y speed. Let's set it to minus. I think the -1 means it's instantaneous. There we go. Okay. This is actually pretty good. And the scale seems alright. So now we can get back to the business. Let's see, can I pick a... Look at eraser, line tool, block tool, select tool, flip, and rotation. But no shapes. Shapes, I think we have to define as brushes. So let's go ahead and do that for a moment. Because I think a circular brush might make it a little bit... Brush builder, here we go. Yes, a circular brush would make it a lot easier on certain levels. That. Let's see now. Can we define multiple brushes? That's the auto tile library. That's not what I need. Brush builder. Ah, okay. Here we go. Ah, that's how it works. So it selects the entire brush. Okay, the only problem is that it's tiling it as such as well, which is kind of useless. It's useful, but kind of useless in my particular state. So I guess we'll just have to use a single brush piece. It's more like a stamping tool, not a brush tool, to be honest. I gotta say, it would be great if we could we could define proper brushes. Otherwise I have to work with a single brush like this, which is not very handy, but it's still better than placing these tiles one by one, which is what we had in Game Maker Studio 1.4. Ooh, that was a nightmare. So this here is an area where the players emerge for the first time. Now there's supposed to be a place over here. This is where they learn about the physics. Let's see, how much of the space have we used so far? Alright, so fairly reasonable, let's say. Alright, so this is actually pretty decent. Let's consult the size of, or this little piece, the design. I mean, compared to everything, this piece here is actually kind of underwhelming compared to what we've just drawn. So here's the basic idea for level building. This is what I was kind of going for in the first place. Just being able to place tiles like this. Let me actually go back to the level assets, because there's something that I need to do. Something that I haven't finished last time, and that would be in the assets here. So what I need to do is I need to make these half pieces as well. As well as I've accidentally saved the project while I had stuff cropped, and I ended up losing a bunch of things. So that's, you know, another thing you have to watch out for. You know, don't goof up in the same way I did. So unfortunately, when that happened, duplicate layer, not that one. This was one of the assets that I had that unfortunately ended up getting erased because of it. Right. Just like that. So what I need are the half pieces of these same designs. So we'll start by this, and I think I can just copy it over. No sense in drawing whole new ones. If I move this out of the way there, just get rid of that. What is this? Oh, I need to get rid of this as well. So this here is supposed to be the base mask. However, I find it weird that I can't erase it. It's not locked, is it? No, it's not. See if I disable it. That happens. Oh, that's because the selection. There we go. Pretty sure I can actually make this happen in a number of ways. As in, I can probably do something like this. So this can be a half piece, and then this can be this tiny little quarter piece. I think I can use the same artwork to create both. Just gotta play around with the edge just a bit. Makes sense. And we'll gotta make sure that we're drawing in the same color as our base color. Beautiful. Okay. And I think I want to trade places with this piece. Same thing for this. Okay, halfway point, quarter. I'll have to do the same thing in here as well. And I'll have to do that on top of there as well. Cool. Though blurring in the edge is not quite the same as erasing it. Move on to this guy. I don't think I have to touch that one. Only if to blur this area just a bit, or erase it just a tiny bit. Okay. So this guy. Need to do the same thing. I'm not sure if I even need the tails to be this big. To be honest, I feel like so far most of the time this has actually been kind of a hindrance. Maybe if I shorten just a tiny bit. Like that. And these top ones, I think I need to do the same thing there. There we go, and the tiles will take care of the rest. Okay. Save and let's export. No Janko, no Nightcore. Also hello. But at the same time, no Nightcore, no thank you. Okay. So we gotta get the... this one. Assets. Okay, so this is tile 1. Then we have tile 1 fade. You can post it on Discord. Then I can listen to it once I get around to it. Okay, so this is 1 fade. Then we have, I think this is going to be called 2. Or maybe 1 short. Tile 1. Or tile 1 H for half. Okay, and tile H1 fade. The fade one worked great if you need to create a really thin ground. And then we'll do Q for quarter. And then we'll do Q fade. Beautiful. Let's re-export this guy here. This here is the tile, grass tile 2. Why is it 2? It's not supposed to be 2, but okay. It's supposed to be a ceiling tile. Okay. This is 2 fade. We'll do 2 half. 2 half fade. And then 2 quarter. Even on the black part, it's a little big on this one actually. Let me fix that up a bit. So this would be the Q for quarter. This will be Q fade. Also, while I'm here, not to forget, let's go ahead and export all of these assets. So this is foliage 001. Foliage 002. You know what I'm gonna actually listen to? Let's listen to the Momodora soundtrack. Apparently that's a really good soundtrack, from what I've heard. This would be foliage. I feel like this should be in a different file though, or a different folder. Foliage 004. Okay, come on. Load up, YouTube. You can do it. Okay, let's re-import. I'm gonna have to do some color stuff with here, maybe with layers, maybe with some color functions for layers, or tile, well, or asset layers, or drawing some colors on top of one another. But in order for everything to kind of sit well together, it all needs to fit into one same color palette. So night areas wouldn't have so much green as they would have blues, but redrawing everything in blue is kind of tedious, so we'll have to figure out how to do it in code. I don't think I need to re-import these, but let's do it for the sake of... Yeah, this one's been fixed. the grass 1 fade, grass top. Grass top fade. The wall should be okay for the fade one. This one changed a bit. Actually, did it? I think it... No, it... Did it? I don't think I exported it. I changed it, but I didn't export it, so let's do that right now. It's this guy. Nope, that's not the one. This is the one. This is the same patch, but with the blend. This one didn't change so much. Now, we also have a bunch of other things. So duplicate. This is 001 half. And then duplicate 001 half fade. And then we'll do the grass top. Oh yeah, and also a quarter. Quarter fade. Beautiful. Alright, so we have the top one. Now we'll need to do duplicate top 1 half. Duplicate top 1 half fade. And we'll also do top 1 quarter. Yeah, quarter. And then duplicate quarter fade. Yeah. So all the battle music, I don't listen to battle music. Quarter fade. There we go. Okay, so forest blocks. Then we need to do add group forest foliage. Foliage. I'm gonna have to go back and organize all the center points. Foliage 4. Like that. Just make sure everything is pivoting around the proper center point. Okay. Now the fun part. Yeah. Okay. So we got grass 1. Duplicate grass 1 half. This is always fun. Grass 1 half. Physics. Modify collision mask. Gotta do all of this stuff. I'm also thinking of dropping the collision slightly below the grass line. And keeping it... Come on, I said keeping it as a 4 point. Here we go. That's half. Duplicate, that's quarter. 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 No, this is the quarter fade. This is all supposed to be quarter fade or half fade. There we go. This is 001 fade. The collision for that should be still more or less. Okay, we got top. So that should be top half. So this would be half. Okay. I already have the top half. This is kind of weird. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's make sure this is organized. Okay. So top half, top quarter, top fade, half fade, quarter fade. Top half, top quarter, top fade. I guess I need another one. 2 more. Top half fade. Top quarter fade. Okay, let's take a look at this. Half, quarter, top fade, half fade, quarter fade, top, half, quarter, top fade, see, this is not correct. This should be top half fade. And then top quarter fade. What's this? Janko is sending me memes and stuff. Okay, all these other things I'm pretty sure I've set up pretty accurately. Okay, so now we have these tools sorted out. I can start making more granular levels. Interesting. I mean, it would be great if we could make an editor for it, so that the editor would lay out the grounds for us. But that means we have to then save the data and then load the data back in, and I've been through this. I've been through this hurdle with the level editor, with the lighting editor, I should say, in the Artag Rise project to know how much time that will take. Or get real-time shadows. I don't think I'm gonna go with the real-time shadows. Well, I mean real-time shadows. Speaking from like the shader perspective, I think I'm gonna go with the good old set up a shape, and the shape will be casting, you know, create a triangle thing. You know, the more tame way of handling those. I do want to try out the general tutorials for creating shadows in the shader. Let's create a new instance layer so we can drop it right below there. Some of the tutorials for like OpenGL, well, not OpenGL, but the general shader lighting tutorials that go into things like skewing the view in order to make the lighting creation a little bit more straightforward. Okay, the theme is nice, but nah. Okay, so what I have to do is I'm gonna have to set up some debris here in the layer up top that's going to be more like an acid layer, and we're going to put in some physics objects up top here. That's nice and upscale. And you can upgrade your thruster power. That would be pretty cool. Okay, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling out the navigation right now. Okay, so in here, one of the hurdles I'm gonna have to find a way to get through is handling physics before the player gets to them. Like, if the player needs to move a boulder, I need to disable physics on that boulder until the player makes first contact with it. At least that's what I'm kind of thinking that I have to do. See, all this stuff is basically just fine-tuning and level creation. Interesting project nonetheless, I have to say. Networking has become a little bit less of a hazy subject. So that much I can live with. So for example, I need to have this rock be placed right there. I need it to not move anywhere until the player gets around to it. It's kind of important. So yeah, I'm thinking... See, it's going. It's freaking going. And it stopped. So maybe it's a matter of fine-tuning its position. But see, now we can kind of move it over and go to the next area. It is also a very slow-moving rock, so I'm gonna need to figure out a more or less realistic gravity for these rocks. Well, actually... Does it have to be realistic? Probably just go in here and say physics density of 10, although it will not be movable by the player. It might just fall down better. Not even affected by a tiny bit by the player. It's not bad though. Another hurdle is going to be creating as many shadows as there are light sources, because we can have 2 players, 1 player, or 8 players. So how would you go about creating that? That's gonna be another problem that we have to solve. Uh-oh. Well, that's where we're gonna get stuck. Okay, another thing that I need to put in is the background. That's kind of important. Now, in terms of the background, this is supposed to be a valley level, so 1280 by 720 background should be okay. The main thing is the whatchamacallit. Yeah, we're going for like a nightscape type of a deal here. So we're gonna say let's see, our horizon line is gonna be right over there. Not to put in too much detail as well, because there's going to be quite a lot of blur on the background. At least that's what I'm kind of thinking. In terms of parallax effects, that's another thing we're gonna have to figure out. Oh yeah, not to mention there's supposed to be we're supposed to be able to see the moon. So that's going to be a thing that we can see from this particular shot. That's going to be quite a big moon too. All right. So this has to kind of reflect on the moonlight being present right above it. Oh, is that it? We just went through the entire Momodora soundtrack. Okay, let's find something else to listen to. I guess we'll listen to Factorio. Yeah, there's got to be a brush preset in here somewhere that satisfies my need to rapidly paint some stuff here. That's an interesting tool. We can actually fix the perspective this way. Say the grass starts right around this level. Fix that strong contour a bit. Let's put a few stars in the sky. Small ones. We might need to adjust the spread. Let's see. Just a bit. Scatter. There we go. That's what I need. Nice. Okay, assets, backgrounds. Background valley. Okay, let's see if we can set the background directly. Just want to see what it would look like. Chances are it wouldn't work because it would probably stretch the background to be the size of the camera, in which case we need to let's see, we need to make an object that will react to the size of the camera. Okay, what did I save this as? Background valley, export, backgrounds, PNG. Middle center. Okay, and if we go over here, yeah. Huh. Well, this is actually interesting. You know, generally speaking, this might work out. It might work out, but only if I'm gonna have to make an element for this. Okay, so instead of the background, let's go ahead and make a background element. Level assets. SBR or OBJ background. For now, let's set the background to be this. And we'll go ahead and we'll set the background on the background layer. We'll set it all the way here. And now this thing will have to follow the object camera. Step. X equals obj cam dot x. Y equals obj y dot object cam dot y. If there we go. If instance exists, object camera. Now, we also need to say view get not the port, but camera get view width. That one. This one's gonna have to go into the draw event. Draw. Draw sprite. And we're gonna have to do general sprite index, image index, top, left top width height. Okay, maybe not general. Position stretched XY width height sprite subimage stretched. I think that's what I need. Sprite image index. Oh, but then the thing changes, doesn't it? Okay, let's stick to general, I guess. We'll say left top. So top will be 0, left will be 0. And then let's see, subimage has to be 0. That's the first image in the sprite. Width, camera get width 0. So it's view camera 0. Then get height. X, Y. X scale, Y scale. Rotation, C white. The 4 colors. And alpha of 1. Okay. Let's take a look at this. And I need to drop the object. That's the object, right? Yes. Okay. We'll see if this scales across the entire room. Or the entire view. Well, I think it does. It's just the center position is not quite there. Okay, so we have to do offset equals or off x. And we'll do the same thing as we did here. Camera get width divided by 2, get height divided by 2. So we'll say x minus the offset, y minus the offset. See if this works. Oh, not quite. It's following the screen. At least that's nice. Okay. Draw sprite. X1, X2. We could use this. Position. Stretched. XY width height. Yeah, that could work. So sprite index, X and Y will be that. Width and height will be this. C white. Alpha 1. Okay, let's see if this works. Start server, ready. Uh-huh. So that's working. The only thing is it's kind of weird, but that's okay. So here's the deal. From my observations, oh yeah, you see it's stretched because the okay, it's stretched because the resolution of the image is not the same as the resolution of the port. We're going for the widescreen effect here. Sprite index, So do sprite extended. Subimage XY scale. Right, so X, Y, and those should have a preserved center because we're not doing anything weird with it. However, we will draw it at 2 times the scale, almost. 0, C white, alpha of 1. Okay, so we don't need any of this stuff. However, there's an observation that I'm making that the size of the background is not big enough. You can get different effects by varying the size of the background. Right, so this looks pretty cool. Okay, so we'll need to scale about 2.3, I think. Another thing that we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to make sure that the camera doesn't move, or the background doesn't move when the camera hits the edge of the screen. Because that's another thing that's kind of blah. Right. We can negate this by setting the view size manually, but there might be problems with that, especially around the edges. Now, what did I mean by... This looks pretty cool, but it's a little too big. So, if I set this to be at the one size, right now I had to increase it by almost 2.5 times in order for it to fill the screen. But that makes the background look way too overblown, right? So what's happening here is that the background is correct, or the background looks nice. But what I want to see is what would the background look like if the moon was actually just that big. So what I want to do is I'm going to save this. I'm going to save it as a separate piece. Background 01 scale. Alright, and so what I had to do the first time is I had to scale almost 2.5 sizes. So what I'm gonna have to do here is I'll group this and I'll scale this entire piece down. Right, this whole piece by 2.5 sizes. So filter by linear, scale. So 50, so about 75, which means that this has to be about 25. technically that's not correct. So let's go maybe about 50%. Alright, so increase by 2, decrease by 2, so right around maybe like 40%. So that is the actual size of the background that we need to work with. So what I can do now is I can add all the extra space. Fill it in like this. We can have it even probably go into defining things like distant fog. At least experiment with it. Pretty cool to have. Where is my... this guy. Brush presets. Okay, so where is that really cool brush that I was using for the grass? It's one of these guys, isn't it? These are like blend brushes. Nope. See, I'm working at such a large resolution that the computer's lagging behind. Let me save this periodically. Okay, very subtle. Whoops. What's this? Oh, this is the patch. A little patch brush. You get some interesting stuff with it. The patch brushes are like miracle brushes. You can get some really cool stuff with them. Okay, let's go back to this guy. Especially useful for setting up all kinds of pattern pieces, repeating designs. Let's get this thing done again. Let's go into the brush settings and set up the scatter. Spacing, maybe? Maybe. Huh. I'm guessing the spacing is affected by the pen pressure. Interesting. Okay, so this is a much larger piece of artwork. So we're gonna either have to scale it down, so export it in a smaller resolution, I'm thinking. Just want to smooth out these guys a bit. Just a touch. Alright, go back here. Let's take this, import this one. And now if we go back to the object background, okay, that is already set to the 1-to-1 ratio. Take a look how this looks. Okay. That's the bigger one, yeah? Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. 2.3 and 2.3. Because we didn't scale the initial piece up. We actually scaled it down and painted all the empty spaces around it. That's why the scaling is about the same. Okay. So that's about the size of it. The only problem is that moon is... it's such a strong point, and it's always in front of you that it's kind of taking away the focus, the focal point. So we can try to apply some sort of a blur. Like that. Okay, let's take a look at the piece. It would still be kind of bright. It's the fact that the moon is just that close to the center. I'm probably... As interesting as it looks, not 100% on it. Not really sold, so to speak. Okay, so let's see about maybe getting rid of the moon. As nice as the moon looks in that background, it's working kind of counterintuitively to the whole the whole piece. If anything, we can always paint the moon back in as a new layer. Scale, no moon. Just like that. Okay. So now the moon's not in the way. The only problem is that the background is still moving. So what we need to do is we need to say we need to do the following. We'll go into the camera object. We'll set up some variables for our background. So background X, background Y. They'll be both 0. And what we'll do here is the following. If the X position of the camera is above, then camera get view width and then we'll say Vx or view width. If it's above view width divided by 2 and X is below room width minus view width divided by 2, then we'll continuously update background X to be same as the camera X. The same thing will be done for the Y coordinate. So view height, camera get view height, and we'll say if Y is above half point of view height and Y is below room height minus view height divided by 2, then background Y will be equals to Y. The whole point is that if the camera stops if the side of the camera hits not the camera object but the in-engine camera stops when it hits the side of the room. So the camera object always follows the center. It's always stationed in the center. So technically the center of the screen would always be would be a good relative point to check. If the center of the screen is halfway of the view size to the edge, then we've just hit the side of the view. And don't update the camera position past that point, because if it keeps updating it, it will keep moving the background past to that point. So now all I have to do is say the background. This one doesn't follow the object background, but it's going to be following the built-in variables background X and background Y. That's at least my method of thinking. Okay, ready. There we go. It's working. Nice. And now the immersion isn't really breaking all that much. I like this. The next step would be probably figuring out the color stuff. Getting all the colors to look the same, but, you know, that's alright. Probably go for something like this. Hue saturation. Oh, we can even compare it. We're gonna have to add some fog particles as well, eh? Alright, let's get rid of this. I'm bringing up that eye. Oh yeah, also this is not the right type of asset to be used here. Let's see, this is where the half piece comes in handy. I think at the points where the angle is a bit too strong, it would probably be better off to use the ground tile. Just like that. I might even use like a little blended piece right here. Just to get it kind of sitting well. Maybe even try out one of these guys. It's kind of the main purpose of these. Is to blend those pieces in. Even with angular damping of 1 or density of 1, it's still super strong. Okay, so how about, what if we try to, let's say, in the room physics, so let's try to set it to maybe with the density of 1. Let's try to set the gravity to the point where that boulder actually falls in a more or less realistic manner. More or less realistic. Like that. So, with that said, we can set the physics of the player to match that. So that's the physics, that's the local physics force that we're applying. Physics force. Unless we can set the density of this to something. Well, okay. Set the density of that to something bigger, and it will become heavier, but then it'll take a lot more force to move it. So maybe not. Oh, Jesus Christ. Holy cow. Okay, 0.3. Let's try that out. Oh, that was terrible. Also, the speed increased for some reason. Okay. Density, so... This was density 1. What the hell did I change? I changed the gravity. Pixels to meters. For some reason it's being... Okay. I swear to God, it is actually... It's... Did it speed up the game? There's no way it sped up the game. This is kind of weird. This is so bizarre. This is actually kind of bizarre. The game feels different. That's kind of the problem that I'm having with it. Is that with this sort of a gravity pull, so we'll say grav equals 30. Like that. See, that looks okay. That looks... Yeah, it's alright. I didn't... Well, actually, that's kind of interesting. So the gravity is back to normal. What was my density before? 0. It was density of 2. So that could explain it. Maybe we'll just go with that for the time being. And grav equals 30. Okay, we're back to this feeling okay again. Okay, if we said grav equals to 0. Zero gravity is actually a lot of fun. So I feel like most of the game would take place in zero gravity. Maybe with like a light gravity. Grav equals 10. Just to have something that pulls you down just a touch. Okay, so what I want to take a look at is, there's a tool that I got a while back. Let's see. So this tool was called the Geon effects particle something something. Where was that thing? Okay, I'll need to get this thing to look for stuff. But if anything, I'm pretty sure I can just download it off of the marketplace. It's this really useful tool for particle creation. However, I'm not sure if it supports physics particles, because I'm pretty sure that uses a completely different code base. Geon Effects Particle Editor. There we go. Okay, so where can I find this? Ah, I see. So this is actually in this project. Particle Editor. Windows. This is the thing. But I'm not sure if it supports physics. And or whether or not I even will be using the physics version for, well, environmental particles like fog. Right? Particle angle. Okay. Let's see, let's do count of 10. And okay, width, that's the emitter, so let's do a stream. Count of 5. Width of, let's do 80, maybe 800, and height of 1280. Let's do 1280 by 720, just for, let's see, you can't really zoom out here. That's okay. Oh, did we crash it? No, never mind. All's good. Okay, so here's what we need to do. Minimum size 5. Well, let's scale. Okay, let's do this. 2, 5. Let's do a very faded gray. Let me get the 122/44. Wait, red, green, blue. Hue, saturation, luminosity. 122/44, 186. (122/44) 180, 86. Okay. Just give me the single color. 122, 44, 186. Okay, beautiful. Now, distribution, linear, Gaussian, shape, rectangle, ellipse, diamond, line, resize. Okay. So let's do one particle for now. What is... Huh. Fascinating. Oh, resizes the toggle for it. Okay. Now, the direction. There's no gravity. Direction will be there. Particle angle 0, 0. Okay, so that will follow there in that one single direction. Is there a... There's got to be like a fade in and fade out thing. Now, X scale will be 3. Maybe even 5 by 2. Additive blending. That's interesting. That could actually work out. The only thing is 1, 1. Yeah, the only thing is that we need this thing to appear smoothly. Particle behavior. Minimum, maximum lifetime. On death, create effect. On step, none. Cool. You can create additional particles. Orientation. Increase. Wiggle. See, they don't give you like a wiggle. This wiggle is very linear. That's the only problem with it. Direction. Increment. Speed, gravity. I am surprised that they haven't put in the... Oh yeah, that's right. It's right here actually. They're using this, aren't they? The alpha. There you go. That's what I was looking for. The 3 alpha stages. Alright, so here's the deal. We're gonna put it 0.1. We can't put 0.1. This thing doesn't accept decimals. So the lifespan, the average lifespan needs to change. Let's see. Statistics show shapes. Ah, cool. Okay. So this is actually where I can do something like this. And the lifespan 160 to 360. As a matter of fact, that's a little... First of all, speed. 1 to 5. It should be random. Just like that. probably up the average brightness because it seems to be flickering. Yeah, see, this is pretty cool. It's got a three-dimensional effect to it. If you add additive blending, it does pretty cool stuff as well. Okay, 0.2. And the more extreme the movement variant is, the more of a 3D effect we're gonna get. Okay, so this is actually where we can adjust the size a bit. So it's definitely has to be stretched out, so it's like 6x2. The minimum size would be 1, the maximum size would be 3. That's where things go out of hand. Okay, so we can save project, open project. So let's save this, just for the sake of making sure that we can come back to this and edit it a little bit. Okay, archive. Okay, so we'll save that as a FOC project. We'll generate ourselves some code. Beautiful. And I believe, unless it uses a step event to spawn the particles, we can just drop this into the step event here. Create an emitter. Here's the stream. We can do obj camera.x camera.y, but that's only for the starters. I'm not sure if it's even going to be able to see the camera. Create event might take place before the camera is created. Start server. Ready. Yep. Not said before reading. SPR part shape explosion. Ah, yeah, that's right. That sprite's not present, is it? Okay, so part. Let's see. Part type shape. Actually, this sprite should be present in one of the projects, or in the Geon Effects project, so let's see. Fire, electric, no. These are the projects, that's not what I need. Geon Effects particle editor, sprites, explosion. I think that's, is that the one that it's asking for? Shape, SPR, PT, shape, explosion. Okay. Create a new group. Particles. SPR, part. Let's just name it this way. Okay. think that's the one. Okay. Not bad. So gravity is gonna have to be 10. Okay, so this kind of works out. The only thing is I really want to place it below the main tile. 1 and 2. I might have to actually place this into a separate object. So we'll create a new group. Particles. We'll create a new group here. Actually, not group. We need the object. Obj part fog. And we'll do the following. We'll say on the create event. We'll do that. And this here, that's the emitter. Part emitter region. Okay. So this guy here will need to move to the step event. So now this should follow the camera. Wherever the camera goes. Also, let me set the gravity to 30. Here we go. Okay, I might have to copy this and have this inside of there. Mad Dog. Oh yeah, but it wouldn't know. It wouldn't really know what the position is now, would it? It's kind of weird that it's not complaining about it, though. Oh yeah, well, of course, we should probably also be putting the actual the file. You know, should probably putting the file or the object for particles in here as well. Kind of important. There we go. So now let's see if this thing is actually following us. I think it is. Okay, well we're kind of stiff on flying here. Okay. Grav equals 30. Okay, let's just slowly nudge our way down here. Beautiful, and lift off. What have I done today? Everything in front of you. Particles, I've set up the background. the camera, few fixes, and I started going through the first level and kind of putting various things together. Okay, so I do need to set the depth. The depth. Will it work if I put in, let's see, what is it? It's this object camera. So if I take this guy and I go down here, we have the background. So above the background, I'll create a layer called fog. Now place this object here. Will the fog appear below all these assets? Region. I don't see a depth thing here. Okay, no, so it's not appearing that way. Oh, there's the depth. Okay, so what is the depth of this layer? Depth is 600, so we need to set this. Okay, either we set it to the depth of the layer, or we can just say depth variable, and that will inherit the depth of the object, which, being on the layer 600, would inherit the depth of 600. Okay, it's working. It's only being displayed here, and I'm liking it so far. Back? I didn't know you were left. Gravity, let's put graph 10 for starters. Also, X minimum, X maximum, Y minimum, Y maximum. Emitter region. So how about we'll just do a square. What sort of resolution are we doing again? Camera. $1920. Okay, but it's 2880-1350. That's what it is. Okay. Let's take a look at what this definition is. I think this defines the box within which the particles are being created. Okay, so x minimum, the x coordinate of the left side of the region, right, what the y coordinate of the top side of the region, y coordinate. Okay, so this basically defines the box sides. So this here is technically correct. Although it would be better if it was object player instead of object camera. Maybe. I'll take a look at this in a second. Because the eye is always looking at the player for the most part. So if we move up and there's no fog there, that's because the camera is still lagging behind. And of course, yeah. We can only do that if the player object exists. Okay, yeah, so the whole point here is to get this boulder down. Come on. We can do it. We're gonna have to set up the size to be a bit smaller, or the density. Yep. Oh wait, that's me setting the density of the background. I need this. Density is 0.5. Background doesn't have density. Its physics are not enabled. Why would it have density? Oof. Okay, now we're talking. Beautiful. That background is indeed pretty cool. The only thing is I need to find a way to kind of tie all these visual elements together, because right now it looks interesting, yes, but ugh. It's gotta get some other stuff. We gotta get some way to kind of tie it all together. One of which I'm thinking is adding artificial aerial perspective. there's a bit too much variation. In 0G area that you spawn in, when you first load up the game, there's grass that is hanging down, but it's 0G and wouldn't be hanging. Yeah, I thought about it, and I feel like the grass would just look too weird when it's kind of not hanging down. Otherwise, it would just look like moss, which realistically is what this is supposed to be. Not grass, but moss. Moss-ish. Okay, so another thing that I need to add for cinematic purposes is a vignette. 1280 by 720, so we'll create this, and let's see. So we have filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay. So we'll color this black. I'll create transparency mask. Okay, so black effectively puts color in. What I need to do now is the ellipse tool. No outline, foreground color. Fill. Ellipse tool, come on. Okay, then we'll go filter, Gaussian blur, blur the living hell out of this thing. Gotta wait for this thing to finish processing it. I think it might have been faster just to paint it in. Yeah, I'll have to paint it in because this is not really getting the effect I'm looking for. Let's see. Is that the new design of the pod? Ah, right. Okay. So I'll take a brush. Let's go with this guy. I think that might work. Okay, let me just... First, let me take a look at this. So this will be technically user interface. G. So now if I go here, resources, utility, so create a group, user interface, SPR, vignette. And top left corner should be okay, I think. And what I need to do is with the camera, should be a camera. Yeah, maybe we can put it in the camera. We'll do a draw GUI event, and in here we'll say draw sprite SBR vignette 0 at 0, 0 position. So this should be enough. Okay, almost. What's my size? The resolution we're doing this in is what again? Let's see. Camera. 1920 by 900. I can just do it in code. Sprite stretched XY 1920 by 900. Neck's kind of stiff today. All right, there's the vignette effect. Vignette. And suddenly we're starting to look a little bit more cinematic. Now the only thing that I wanna do is maybe improve the amount of visibility that we have here. So if I do duplicate, see, now it's stacking on top of one another. So that I think is good. Can we combine these? Duplicate. Toggle. Okay, so merge. Can't really merge them. Can I group them? I can crash Krita probably by trying to do this. Yep. It did not understand my method of thinking. So, yay. Luckily, I'm pretty sure most of the stuff has been saved. Don't close that, please. My shading gets push software to its utmost limit. Interesting. Okay, what am I waiting for? The start of Krita. You know, this could be actually a good point for me to take a break. I could use a bite to eat, stretch my legs, and yeah. I'll be back in about an hour, 32 an hour. We'll continue with this. Alright? Okay.